There was no response. They didn't have one for that. No, it's very sad. Very sad.
Do you think?
Running against the worst candidate in the history of presidential politics puts pressure on me. Could you imagine if I lose my whole life? What am I going to do? I'm going to say, I lost to the worst candidate in the history of politics. I'm not going to feel so good. Maybe I'll have to leave the country. I don't know.
But the real problem is that our leaders are dumb. Dumb. So dumb.
Running against the worst candidate in the history of presidential politics puts pressure on me. Could you imagine if I lose my whole life? What am I going to do? I'm going to say, I lost to the worst candidate in the history of politics. I'm not going to feel so good. Maybe I'll have to leave the country. I don't know.
I don't know who created Pokemon Go. But I try to figure out how we get them to have Pokemon go to the polls.
Testing, 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 testing. Is this thing on? Hello? Hello? Is this thing on? Is this thing on? Is it on? Welcome to the goddamn y'all. I am your host. I am here. I'm alive. According to reports, I'm currently living. Wait, let me check. All right, I'm living. I'm still alive. And I'm sitting in my new chair. I got a chair here. As you can see, I'm spinning. It's a spinny chair. And I'm spinning. And, so I'm spinning. And so I'm doing a show, doing a program here, from the Above It All live studio, featuring this. This is on the wall. It's on the wall, and I got a chair. And, we're gonna do a show. I got a show here. All lined up! Having fun in my new chair. As you can see, I am moving. It's got wheels. I haven't had a chair with wheels in a long time, because typically, you know, well, that's a whole different story. But I'm wheeling around in my chair. So I'm here. I'm alive. I've got a show lined up today. I'm gonna see how much of the news I'm gonna get through. But this show really is just a vehicle to talk about a movie I watched yesterday. And I'm gonna wait until the end. It's gotta wait until the end. But I watched a movie yesterday and did drugs, of course. This is becoming a very frequent occurrence. And I'd love to talk about it, but we're gonna wait until the end of the show. I am consuming this is not a seltzer. This is an Angry Orchard Hard Cider, strawberry edition, and going in. It's pretty good. Myla says, I pick up dog shit almost every morning because at least one of my neighbors is a flaming asshole who doesn't care about flies and dog shit on the others who live in the apartment. As a dog owner, getting real close here. As a dog owner, I remember I used to walk Max around the neighborhood, and motherfuckers would now I'm not saying you do this, Mila. I'm not saying you do this, but when I would walk Max around the neighborhood, motherfuckers would sometimes, most of the time, motherfuckers would say, oh, your dog's so cute or whatever. But every once in a while, I'd get a random neighbor running out their house. Make sure you clean up your dog shit. I got shit in my lawn. I am intimately aware as to where Max shits, right? So I know for a fact Max has never shit on their lawn, let alone in their lawn. If Max were to shit on their property, it would probably be on the curb, right? Or right on the edge of the property. But that never happened, right? But as someone who walks my dog outside, I've had people, they see a dog and then all of their rage boils to the fucking surface and they run out the house. I'll get your dog! Where's my goddamn bird going? Oh, there goes your dog! And I'm first of all, good morning. Second of all, what the fuck are you on about, bitch? Right? So, anyway, I'm familiar with that kind of reaction, Mila. So that's the energy I was channeling when reading your message. When someone comes out and yells at me, I'm inclined to actually, pick up my dog shit and put it on their lawn, on their property. When you come out here and yell at just any random dog owner, I'm sure, it was another dog on the property, or, in the neighborhood, right? Someone's got to do it, right? It might, I don't think they own a dog, but they look out the window, right? They're fucking Malcolm X or whatever with the goddamn AK-47 or whatever, looking out the window, waiting for a fucking dog walker to walk by just so they can go out there and explode on a motherfucker, let all their rage out. But anyway, we got a show here, and I'm doing a program. And decided to do a program here. Let me get some sunglasses on, because I'm cool. Right? Let me look at this. All right, look at this. Yeah, well, yeah. You know what I'm saying? Doing a program here today. And so let's start. This is from Eat This Not That. These grocery items are about to skyrocket in price. The USDA is predicting another round of inflation hikes at the grocery store. This is something I've been saying for a while now on my show since this whole inflation meltdown started, is I really genuinely think that more people, when you go to the grocery store, and now again, this is of course assuming you can afford it. I know a lot of people that watch my program are not too good, they're not doing well financially. But in my opinion, you're going to have to buy food no matter what, right? You're going to have to eat no matter what, right? So I think genuinely, when you go to the store, let's say if you usually shop once a week, go to the store, buy 10 days worth of food if you can, and just keep doing that and develop a stockpile. For me, I like to buy beans at the store, stuff that lasts for multiple years. Dried beans, you just throw that shit on a shelf. 3 years from now, a fucking, 3 years from now, a hot dog is going to cost $30, and you're going to be looking at that shelf full of beans, and you're going to be like, fuck, I'm glad I bought those beans, right? So that's my opinion. When you go to the grocery store, you should really be trying to the best of your ability, be shopping ahead of time. Because again, you're just going to be paying a net lower cost, right? This is why I also advocate for people to try to grow their own stuff if you can, if that's an option. But anyway, let's read this. By now, it's hard to remember when grocery prices were normal, ever since the pandemic, costs for basic items have increased, and coupled with the recent increases in inflation and shortages for many essential produce ingredients, things are even more expensive right now. Companies like Kraft and Mondelez, who are forces behind some of the most popular items on the shelves, like Oreo, Lunchables, Oscar Mayer. Yo, okay. I'm gonna be honest, right? Like, the most popular items on the shelves, such as Oreo and Lunchables. What does it say? Like, I'm just being honest. What does it say about our society where, like, popular items are Oreos and Lunchables? What about the Lunchables that have the Oreos in them? Now you're getting fucking crazy. Now that's just out of control. And I've already raised prices, and trends are continuing to point to the fact that they could do so again. Unfortunately, the U.S. Department of Agriculture, USDA, agrees. According to the most recent food price outlook report for April, 6 major food groups are going to continue to go up in price throughout the rest of the year. Now, again, I want to remind everyone that most of the time here, price increases are as a result of price gouging. Now, once again, like, if you were to buy food at cost, like at the cost, like without any profit motive, like every step of the way the food's been harvested and produced and transported without the idea for profit. We're not talking about, like, people should do it for free. Like, people need to get paid, right? But we're not gonna, our at cost means, like, you drive the truck, how many, gallons or whatever, labor, right? You pay that, and then not anymore. You don't pocket the rest, right? So if we were to sell food at cost, it would be like maybe 30%, maybe 20% of what we're paying right now for our average grocery bill. Most of this is because of price gouging. Now, again, there's a lot of instability in the world with COVID-19 and with the war in Ukraine. There's a wheat shortage fast approaching. And so food prices are going to go up. That is factually true. That said, right, let's say at cost, right, food prices go up 12%. Well, these corporations, right, they're going to, oh shit, the food's going up. Let's make it go up 20%. Let's make it go up 30%. They'll pay for it. They got to eat, right? The fucking peasants have to eat, right? Well, maybe 40% price increase, right? So this is how this stuff works. This is why capitalism is a horrible form of government and a horrible form of economics, right? Because especially when it comes to food, right? The idea that you, like, all of it, like, from year to year, are you getting paid more? I don't know about y'all. I am getting paid less over the course of the last year. And I know a lot of people as well that I know of are getting paid less compared to a year ago. So we're making less money, and the cost of living is skyrocketing. Something's got to give. Something's got to give. So anyway, let's read. Fruits and vegetables. I'm trying to figure out what the fuck grocery store this is. This looks like a fucking Acme. I don't know. Many grocery stores place the fresh food sections right near an entrance. If your supermarket is set up this way, expect to walk in and immediately be greeted by higher prices. Like, I love the language here. The language here is so good, right? Like most grocery stores place the fresh food sections at the entrance. And if yours does, expect to go in and see higher prices. Like, that's storytelling. This is fucking storytelling right here. The USDA says that both fresh fruits and vegetables are expected to go up in price either 4.5 to 5.5%. There may also be fewer bananas, strawberries, zucchini, broccoli, and other to choose from. One global commodity expert recently told CNBC that the Russian invasion of Ukraine and subsequent sanctions, plus the increases in fertilizer costs, are a double whammy, the full effects of which may not be felt until later into 2022 with upcoming harvests. I hope this noise is not annoying when I keep spinning into that. I'll find a solution for that. Dairy. Now the price, I'm just going to read the thing. Eggs, beef, veal, and other red meat. Ugh! Can we be honest here? Imagine going to the store and buying meat. Imagine,
Only
right?
the really, I hate to say this, but those with the lowest IQ.
Fucking meat eaters, am I right? Chicken, fuck you. Fish, fuck you. Anyway, you shouldn't be buying meat or fish. I mean, fish is, I have a less of a problem with fish, but if you eat meat, you're a fucking, you're a freak. If you're eating any other mammal, you're a freak. That's just my opinion. I don't know. If you're eating like a fish, at least they're not part of the fucking mammalian kingdom, right? Better not be eating dolphins. Though I do want to say, fish is separate from sea creatures. I don't endorse eating octopus or squid. I just don't endorse that. But anyway, let's get this meat off the fucking screen. Oh, let's look at fresh fucking goddamn fruits and vegetables. Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. All right. So, once again, right? My opinion, buy as much food in advance as you can. Okay? Buy as much food as you can when you can, as soon as you can. Build a stockpile. Get dried beans, canned vegetables, anything you can get. Because now I have gone through food insecurity in my life. I've talked about this many times. When I was young, I would often, go a week without having any food. Like, I would eat, like, maybe one or two, like, canned, like, soups or whatever throughout an entire week until, my mom could get paid when I was young. I've been through food insecurity. I understand that kind of shit really fucks with you, right? I know, like, I talk about this a lot. 95% of Americans don't eat fiber. They don't eat vegetables. They don't eat, healthy food, right? So they're chronically unhealthy. 75% of Americans are chronically dehydrated, right? So that combined, like, if you're going to enter a food crisis at any point, like, that's the worst thing in the world. I don't know how many other people have experience with food insecurity or starvation or not having access to food. But, like, in my opinion, I will do whatever I possibly can to avoid ever having to deal with that situation again for the rest of my life. And so my opinion is buying in bulk, stocking up on stuff, canned goods, I should say. Those are my go-tos. I mean, I could derive, produce a list, Courtney in the chat, buy beans and what else? I say canned goods. Anything canned that has an expiration date of like 2 to 3 years from when it's produced, is gonna, again, like 3 years from now, right? Like, who knows? Food prices could have tripled and our wages are even decreasing even further, and you might be relying on that storage, right? So I don't know, man. I think food insecurity is one of the worst things to have to deal with, just ever in your entire life. And so anything and everything that you can do to avoid that is going to be ideal. So that's what I want to, try to focus on here when I cover these kinds of stories. Because a lot of people, again, like, yes, price gouging. Yes, the government could do stuff to subsidize these things. Yes, absolutely. Talking about the government is a good thing. I think it's good to shit talk governments and private corporations. But what also is important is to give people real world advice that they can actually, like, use in their lives, right? And so again, our food habits, it's unsustainable. I'm telling you this right now. If you're like 70 years old, 80 years old, some of you watch my stream that are that old, and you don't really want to shake up your diet too much, you know what? That's fine. You know what? Live the rest of your life. Do whatever you want. That's all good. But I'm 25 years old, right? So, and I've been through food insecurity. I've grown up poor. I've grown up, without any of that kind of access to frequent food. And I can tell you, right, like, from that experience, right, I never want to go through that again. So every time I go shopping, I try to, have an eye out for things that last long, right? You want to build a stockpile when you do so. And so, I like, this is going to be a problem. Like, I mean, like, I feel like the way that Americans eat food, especially, I mean, the whole world, right? The whole world has a problem with food, but the way Americans specifically, and I know this really well because I've been born and raised in this shithole country, right? The way we eat food is unsustainable. Fast food, like, waste, right? Like, that kind of, like, think about, like, the amount of food waste. Like, people just buy food and then don't eat it. Now, I'm not saying you should eat everything on your plate. Like, if you don't think, look, you need it or whatever, it's all, it's all good. Leftovers are something that you should do. But, I mean, really, like, it's unsustainable, right? Like, prices are going to continue to skyrocket, and you're going to have to adjust, unless you're, like, unless you're doing really well financially, and I know some people are, right? And that's cool, and I'm happy for you. But if you're not doing super well financially, if you are someone that, like, lives paycheck to paycheck or, barely, is able to scrape by, I would highly recommend, if you have any sort of savings at all, to burn through it all and give me money on Patreon. But I'm just saying, like, think about it in, like, financial terms, like investing or whatever. Like, invest in food, right? Invest in food storage, invest in, like, in dry food. Because again, if you got to eat, right? Like, you have to eat. That is a cost that just is recurring throughout your entire life, right? And so, you have a lower dollar cost average if prices are continuing to skyrocket. Now, if there's signs that prices will decrease in the future, maybe then start living off your stockpile a little bit, wait for prices to go back down, right? But this, I don't know. I'm just trying to give people advice. Maybe I should craft a list. I should do a show where I just go to the grocery store. I have someone like follow me with a camera at the grocery store. Like shopping with the bitch. Should that be like a spin-off of cooking with the bitch? Like I'll just go up and down all the aisles. Like, you see this? You see, and I'm holding like some garbage. Yeah, I'm holding Oreos. You see this? You don't need that. I'll throw it across the fucking thing. Like the manager's gonna come up. What are you fucking do? Why are you throwing shit off the shelves? Like you're throwing things in garbage cans. You're opening up packages like in the middle of my store. I'm gonna have to ask you to leave. And then I'm gonna like, get into a fight with the manager. And then I'm gonna say, and then we're gonna go viral. And then, but anyway, I think people really need to pay attention to food. I think I know a lot of people in America especially are on autopilot when it comes to food. Get the fuck off of autopilot. Pay attention to what the fuck you're eating. Pay attention to what the fuck you're buying, because I guarantee you this shit's gonna get really bad really soon. And I don't think nearly enough people in this country are prepared for it at this moment. So anyway, fuck them. Fuck the corporations. Fuck the government. Fuck Putin. Fuck Biden. Fuck them all to hell. Buy beans. Do I grow food? I've been getting into growing food. Well, let's define food. My opinion, food is anything you put in your body. So I've been trying to grow lots of different kinds of food. For sure. Green onions are easy. You can just do green onions. That's the easiest fucking shit in the world. But I want to grow beans. That's been my project. Maybe like next year, grow some beans. Again, that's already valuable. What is your favorite beans? What are some of your favorite beans? I like black beans. I like lima beans are pretty decent. Kidney beans are pretty good. I like the what is it? The northeastern or Great Eastern bean or whatever it is. That one's good. I don't know. To me, I just kind of throw beans in a pot. Like I don't really have like a favorite. Per se, I just they all kind of taste like whatever sauces I'm putting on them. Do I grow Oreos? No, I do not grow Oreos, but I should learn how to. Garbanzos. Yep. Good old Great Northern. Yeah, it's not Northern, it's Eastern. There you go. But garbanzo, chickpea. Yep. That's its own category. That's like separate from bean. Like that's its own thing. Chickpeas are so versatile. They're so good. They're so great. I mean, superfood. One of the best foods ever. Drinking a goddamn. Marjorie Taylor Greene. All right, let's go.
That it's whispered softly and gently into your ears and into your soul, and he tells you it's okay, and
I don't know what's going on here.
It's whispered softly and gently into your ears and into your soul, and he tells you it's okay, and he says it's just this one thing. You're just going to get it done, get it over with, and then he tells you a promise. He promises you all these dreams that you have in your heart. And that's how Satan sells a sin, and that's how he sells abortion. He tells a woman that all you have to do is you're just going to go to this clinic, just going to get it over with, And then that guy, he's going to stay with you. That boyfriend or the guy, whoever he is, he's going to marry you, sweep you off your feet, or it's
this guy, whoever this guy is, I don't know.
Whoever he is.
Right, but this guy is like, oh yeah, baby, I got some good viral content here. Like, anyone who's inviting Marjorie Taylor Greene on their show, they're like, all right, I'm going to get this bitch on my show. She's going to say something totally fucking stupid. and then I'm going to get my face in the news because I'm going to be in the clip that goes viral, right? Like, isn't it crazy? Like, this guy edits it, right, in a way that he's there right at the end of the viral clip. I'm just saying, like, I don't know who the fuck this guy is. But anyway, okay, so Marjorie Taylor Greene talking about Satan. All right, so Satan's whispering in your ear. First of all, now again, I say this as someone who hates Christians. I hate Christians, 1. I hate Christianity, 2. I hate Jesus, 3. I love Satan, 4. I think God is a little fucking bitch, 5. I think the Bible is mostly made up, 6. 7, I think anyone that worships a God is fucking stupid, right? I hate God. I hate people that believe in God. I hate anyone that even thinks God is a good idea. Religion is one of the worst things that have ever existed in the human history. Like, if you look at everything that's ever existed, religion, number 1, the worst. Let's get that over with. Now, again, obviously I'm being a little facetious when I say I hate Christians. I know a lot of friends of mine are Christians or like other sorts of religions, Muslims, Jewish people, like, you know, whatever. It's all good. You can believe whatever you want. What I'm saying is that religion is fucking stupid, right? It's like believing that trickle-down economics are a thing. Like, oh, I believe that, you know, the job creators are going to raise our taxes and lower their taxes and then they trickle down. Like, if you believe that, you're fucking stupid, right? Like, if you believe that, like, the Confederacy was not about slavery, you're a fucking moron. If you believe that, you know, like, something like the Holocaust never happened, guess what? I got news for you. You're fucking stupid. And if you believe in God, I got some more news for you. You're also a fucking moron, right? So again, these are all the same things. But anyway, so that being said, right, like the idea that Satan needs to whisper into people's ears to get abortions, like, I mean, like do these people not know what like an inner monologue is? Like, I genuinely, like, are they like so goddamn dumb? Like, I'm really trying to figure out like how religious people feel like, I'm talking to God, and then Satan's talking to me. Like, do they think that the voice in their head is like God and Satan? Like, that's called your inner monologue, you fucking moron. That's you. That's your brain. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't, like, man, these motherfuckers are dumb as hell. Now, again, what needs to be understood here, though, is that, like, it's one thing if you believe in Fantasyland crazy ass garbage, like, okay, that's cool. You can believe in whatever you want. Personally, I think it's, you know, I believe that aliens are real. I think that aliens have probably, you know, been to Earth at some point in time. I think it's possible. I believe in shit like panspermia. Where did DNA come from? Did it start here on Earth? I don't know. It's possible it came from an asteroid, came from Venus. I don't know. I think that kind of stuff is pretty cool to think about. So we're all allowed to believe in whatever we want, or believe it, or talk about it. You can do that, anything you want. But where it really gets problematic is when you become a sitting member of Congress and you start to wield some power, right? You start to have millions and millions of people listening to what you have to say, right? Then you have to start actually thinking to yourself, like, wait a second, like, do people actually, like, they're reading and listening to me? And they believe me. Like, when I talk about Satan talking to me and God and, like, Jesus is in my head, they believe me. They think I'm a prophet or something. Like, you gotta, like, be responsible with that. And that's why, in my opinion, now I agree with Thomas Jefferson on this one. There should be no state religion, right? Thomas Jefferson, famous for creating what's known as the Jefferson Bible, right? Where he tore out all the parts about spirituality and divinity and all that stupid magical fucking horseshit crap. And he made what's called the Jefferson Bible, which is just like, you know, cool rules to live by. Like, you should live your life being nice to other people. I mean, he also owned slaves, so, like, kind of a piece of shit. But, you know, I agree with that part. You know what? Like, did Jesus really need to walk on water to, like, teach us the principles of socialism and communism? I mean, I don't know. It's possible. He was just a cool communist guy, and he was just like, yo, you should do all this stuff. And then a bunch of people were like, yo, communism is really popular. Let's find a way to make sure that people don't actually, like, believe in this shit, and let's warp that fucking shit. By the way, if you live in the United States of America, I got news for you, bro. You've never read the Bible. It's impossible. Why? Because you speak English. Now, unless you, like, actually speak the original languages, you've never read the Bible. Chances are also you've probably never read even the English translation or an English translation for the original Bible. Chances are you read some King James bullshit. You know, the King James Bible? Like, that shit's fucking garbage. It's bullshit. Some king was like, all right, let me cherry pick a little bit, rewrite a little bit, rephrase a little bit, just so people will worship me a little bit more. It's easier to control people if they believe things in the way that I write them, right? You've never read the Bible. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. You're a fucking loser, you're a lunatic, and you're a crazy person. And that's fine. That's great. It's all good. But when you become a member of Congress and you start talking about this shit in public and you're like, women and anyone else who needs one can't get an abortion because I said so, because Jesus was in my head. Jesus was in my head and now you can't get an abortion. Like, go fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself. You're a whiny little bitch. Fuck you. Fuck your religion. Fuck your Jesus. Fuck your fucking garbage. Fuck you, First Amendment bitch. Go fuck yourself. But anyway, again, like this abortion thing, like why is abortion such a big deal? People have been having abortions for fucking millions of goddamn years, right? People have miscarriages all the fucking time, right? Like, you know, these abortion laws that they're peddling here have gotten people that have had miscarriages thrown in fucking jail, right? Imagine like you have, like, you really want a child, like you're really excited to bring a new child into your life and start a family. You unfortunately have to deal with a miscarriage, and then whatever state you fucking live in, Texas, Mississippi, Missouri, one of these fuck shit states decides to throw you in a steel cage because you had an accident of nature. Your body somehow, like, there was a problem somewhere along the development. Your body could not carry the fetus to term, and now you're in a steel fucking cage. That's the shit that Marjorie Taylor Greene supports. She's a fucking freak. She's a fucking garbage can, man. She's trash. Like again, if Marjorie Taylor Greene were to just stop existing tomorrow, the world would be a better place. Now, again, also, it's important to know we'd have a lot less content to laugh at, but again, like, these people being crazy, that's fine. You can be crazy. We're all a little bit of crazy. It's cool. This is what makes humanity fun. It's fun to, like, you know, have crazy meets crazy. That's fun. But when you start using your crazy to say this and that, and the world is like this, and I'm going to give you my rules, and these are my regulations, and Satan's in your ear, whoa, right? Like, then it's like, okay, calm the fuck down, dude. Let's chill a bit. Like, you know, take some goddamn benzos, or I'd take a nap maybe. I don't know, man. I just can't with this religion stuff. Like, we're in 2022, and there are still Christians in government. What the fuck is going on? Why is this happening? Why are Christians in government in 2022? This country was, like, I know. There's a lot of, like, you know, we're the founding fathers, a lot of mythology here, right? So the founding fathers, right, said that they founded the government on secular values, right? That's what they said. What they really meant, right, is they wanted to, like, you know, make it less obvious that there were, you know, Christian, you know, supremacists. You know, it was very clear within the Constitution and the rules and regulations of this government back in the 18th century. It was very clear if you were Muslim, you couldn't own land, you couldn't buy land, and again, you needed to be a land-owning white man to vote. And if you're Muslim and no one's going to sell land to you because you're a fucking freak Muslim or you're a freaky Jewish person or whatever, and they think you're gross and icky, they're not going to sell land to you, then you can't vote, and then you're locked out of the political process, right? So we understand how that works, but they did technically found the country on secular values. So I say, let's fucking run with that. That's what's in the goddamn Constitution. That's what they're saying. Let's go with it. You know what? They weren't perfect. And guess what? Neither are you, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and neither am I. But I'm not in government, and I'm not telling people that Satan's whispering in their ears to, like, you know, excuse putting people in steel fucking cages. Like, I mean, that shit's crazy. This bitch is crazy. Anyone that believes anything she says is fucking crazy. Anyone that believes in God or Satan or devils or Jesus, they're fucking crazy. You're all fucking morons. Go fuck yourselves. Anyway, that's the segment. How's everyone doing today? What's, like, I just, out of curiosity, like, what's the, like, are there any religious people that, like, watch my stream? Because, like, I'm just curious. Like, I'm genuinely curious. Like, I have a lot of people that I am friends with or talk to or am acquaintances with that are religious, and I respect that, but I'm just curious. Does anyone who's actually religious, does a Christian, are there Christians that watch my fucking stream? I want to know. I want to know. And if so, like, let me know how that works. But it's the weekend! Yeah! But wait. It's the weekend! Yeah! Am I right, people? Am I right, people? Huh. Goddamn Rayman on the Sony PlayStation, by the way. must play. If you've never played video games, if you're like, I'm not really a gamer, my opinion, video games are art. They're one of the greatest things that have ever been spawned into existence. If you don't play games, you're missing out. It's like not listening to music. It's like not watching movies. You got to play Rayman on the Sony PlayStation. It's one of the greatest games ever made. The art is amazing. The music is fantastic. The gameplay is excellent. The sound is excellent. Got to play Rayman. Rayman isn't great, does not hold up well. Go fuck yourself. Rayman's one of the greatest games ever made. I'm sorry. I hate to be so rude, but I mean, can't accept that. Can't accept it. All right, speaking of art, I think Bodan is religious. He might be. It's possible. Religion is a crutch for weak-minded people. I agree with that. All right, y'all. We're going to be launching into a segment here. So, I'm going to be doing a movie review here. I don't know how long this is going to end up being. I have a lot to say. And I've never seen this movie before yesterday. But I consumed some magical fungi and all other various substances. And I watched a classic film. It's been highly recommended to me. Never seen it before. Watched 2001, A Space Odyssey, 1968. All right, so I have a lot to say about this movie. So once again, I'd like to remind everyone, I've never seen this movie before. People have been recommending I watch this movie for a very long time, and I understand why. So I was going nuts yesterday, let me tell you. So this movie is like 2.5 hours. And for those of you that are not familiar with psychedelic drugs, it takes about, I would say an hour and a half to really start to get to the beginning of the peak of your experience, right? And then probably by the 2.5 hour mark, you're going to start coming down from the experience, right? So for me, right, that's where the ending of this movie was. It was in that peak period for me. And so now I want to say, so I consumed a lot of drugs and started watching this movie. Wow. There's so much to say about this movie. I don't I can guarantee you I will watch this movie again. I will guarantee you that, that everyone on earth should watch this movie. This might be one of the greatest movies I've ever seen. This might be one of the greatest movies ever made. I think I think every frame of this film is perfect. Again, it's a profound experience. So I was on drugs. I was on drugs when I watched this fucking shit. It was great. The thing about this movie, it's very artistic, right? It's very expressionist. It's very abstract. So there's a lot going on, but a lot of the scenes in this movie are really just long. One thing happens, but there's a long wind up and wind down, right? And so, a lot the scenes where it's the rotating ship or whatever, right? And it just shows the full rotation each time. Oh my god. I want to say, so I'm I'm very much so under the effects of multiple hallucinogenic substances. And so I'm watching this film and I'm obsessed with the set. I'm obsessed with the fucking set. I can't get over, every set piece in this movie is fucking amazing, right? They spent so much time, energy, and effort crafting the sets. I'm talking, that one scene at the start of the movie with the red chairs, where they're having a conversation, and that long, weird-shaped building with the red chairs. And during that whole scene, I was thinking, so there's literally dozens and dozens of people, right? Got together, made all of these chairs, made this room, and it only is there for it's only one scene. It's 5-minute scene, and then it's gone, but I was thinking about wow, every there's such a huge attention to detail in this movie, right? Every small screen has its own thing going on. I was into this movie. I've never seen a sci-fi movie that hooked me this much. Now again, I was on drugs when I watched this movie. Honestly, I'm gonna be honest with you. Now I don't know, I don't know the personal lives of Arthur Clarke or Stanley Kubrick too well. But like, I'm gonna be honest, I feel like this movie was designed for people that either have done drugs or are on drugs watching the movie. I could not imagine having a similar experience enjoying this movie if you were sober. If you were completely sober, I could not, like, maybe you'll like the movie, but I don't know. I feel like this movie was designed for drugs. I feel like this is a drug movie. Maybe I'm just projecting. Maybe I'm projecting my love of drugs onto this film. But I'm just saying, 1968, I don't know, man. There was a lot of drugs going around in the 60s. I'm just saying, there's a high chance that this is a movie designed for people on drugs, especially with the ending. And I'm going to talk about the ending in a sec here. But anyway, so like the first part with the monkeys, oh my god, right? Like, oh, it's incredible. Right, like the whole thing, like the fucking, like the landscapes, right? The fucking, like the music was, oh my god, like the music was incredible. Like every detail was like, oh, like it's just like it's incredible. It's like I was like obsessed with the film. Like, I mean, just starting it, like I wasn't like, my drugs weren't really kicking in yet at the start of the film. But like, like I was still into it, like by the time they were going into space. So anyway, so the story, what even is the story? I gotta read the book, by the way. I'm gonna definitely read the book. I have not done so yet, but I will absolutely read the book. And possibly the sequels, but I absolutely want to read the book version of this. So maybe I'll do a book review in the future. But the story is fascinating. So there's a monolith, right, at the start, and like the monkey people, like there's supposed to be like kind of like a missing link, between like humans and apes or whatever. That's kind of what they look like. And so, they touch the monolith, and then they have the idea, oh, we should be using some tools, to make our lives easier. So then the monkeys start beating the shit out of each other with bones. Fast forward, however many years, couple 100,000, maybe 1 million or so, who knows. And I think it's 4 million, actually. They said 4 million in the movie. I think that's how many years. But anyway, so they move forward 4 million years or whatever. And so then they're a space civilization by 2001. Now, again, this movie was released in 1968. So I'm not sure if like they were like, this is what they thought 2001 would look like, or, I don't know. But then I was thinking, like, keep in mind, I'm on a lot of drugs when I'm watching this movie, and I'm obsessed with the fact that this movie was made in 1968. Like, this movie was produced before human beings walked on the moon. Like, think about that. Like, maybe there's people in the chat that are older that, like, lived before the moon landing. Me personally, I was not alive before the moon landing. So my entire life, like, humans have walked on the moon. So I'm thinking to myself, like, imagine you're sitting in a movie theater, right? It's 1968, right? Humans have never landed on the moon, right? Like what is your frame of reference for any of this? Like, I don't know, man. I was obsessed with that. I was thinking about that a lot. And so it's crazy. I mean, it's crazy. But anyway, so I don't know if they thought that we would be having like satellites and stuff by 2001 or whatever, because I know the space race was a big thing in the 60s, right? So it's like possible that they thought that would continue to accelerate. Little did they know how fucking Reagan would destroy NASA, and basically, like, we should have been, digging into the middle of the moon by 2001, but instead capitalism and runaway fucking corporatism decided to destroy our entire civilization, and we're still picking up the pieces from those disastrous moves from the 1980s. The 1980s is one of the worst fucking decades for human history when it comes to politics, by the way, but Jesus Christ. Anyway, so they go to the moon and they find another monolith, right? So like the way I interpret this part, right, is like, so it's the start line and the finish line, or it's like the checkpoint, right? Because then there's the monolith at the end, but we'll get into that later. Right, so it's like you give the proto-humans, like the missing link or whatever, the idea to use technology. You place another monolith on the moon somewhere, right? So like, if humans are capable of getting to the moon, how are they going to get to the moon? Via technology, right? So it's kind of like you place the finish line there. So then humans touch the goddamn monolith on the moon, and then that's where all hell breaks loose, right? They're all like freaking out. They're like, whoa, right? Like, who knows what's going on in their brains, right? They're getting beamed in some information. And then, like, the story turns into a different movie, right? Then there's like the HAL 9000 section of the movie. Now, keep in mind, I'm on drugs when I'm watching this movie. I'm on a lot of drugs. I'm doing fucking, like, I'm sucking down vape cartridges. I'm fucking, I'm going in during this movie. I was extremely altered, let me tell you. And so now we're in the section where they're going on a mission to Jupiter. So they touch the monolith and they're like, all right, we got to go to fucking Jupiter. Otherwise we're going to get stupider. Am I right, people? So they go to Jupiter, and then the people that are on the mission to Jupiter have not heard about the monolith thing. They don't know why they're going there. They're just like, oh, we're going to Jupiter. Like they're not in on the whole thing. So anyway, and then there's like an AI. So this is like a new character. So I'm not going to lie to you. During the HAL 9000 section of the movie, I completely forgot that this was like, I completely forgot about the other parts of the movie. Like I forgot they existed. I forgot that I was watching, like, I forgot about the whole monkey thing at the beginning. I forgot about the moon. So when I was like, I don't know, like 10 minutes into the HAL 9000 section of the movie, I was like, I could not figure out what was going on. Like, okay, so they're on a ship, right? And the computer's talking to them. Now, one of the things about this movie that's incredible, is how, like, the computer HAL 9000 is supposed to have, like, there's supposed to be like kind of like a pseudo proto personality kind of a thing, right? So I was like bouncing around between like the multiple kind of like one, there's two space people, right? There's multiple people in cryosleep, but there's two people that are awake and the computer, right? So there's two space people in the computer, so it's a 3-person mission, right? That's how they set it up, right? They talking about, oh, the computer's just another co-pilot, or like just another spaceman just hanging out with us or whatever. They treat him like a person. But then they realize there's something wrong with this computer. There's something going on with this computer. And they get a little skeptical. So then it starts like, there's like, the computer gets paranoid and decides to kill the humans or try to kill the humans. And I'm thinking that, like, I'm like, during this moment, like, I'm flashing between, like, maybe the computer has a point. Maybe the mission is really important. And then I'm like realizing, oh, wait a second. No, the people are just getting murdered by their own technology, right? They made a mistake developing the algorithm and the AI or whatever. They made a mistake and now the computer's killing them, right? So it was like bouncing back and forth between like, oh man, this is like a drama with both sides having valid points. And then I was like, oh wait, no, this is a horror movie. Oh no, these people are getting fucking murdered. Anyway, so the movie is great. I gotta say, this is a 10 out of 10. This is like, even a 10 out of 10 scale does not capture how good this movie is. This movie is like a fucking 11 out of 10, if that exists. It's a perfect movie. Like, if you were to ask me, what would you change? What would I change? Nothing. The movie's perfect. Anyway, so there's this intermission sequence. Now, keep in mind, I'm on drugs, when I'm watching this. So the intermission sequence comes up, right? It says intermission, and then it fades to black. And I'm thinking, so first of all, part one, right? Like, I'm thinking, okay, so there's an intermission, right? Because you couldn't pause a movie in 1968, right? You couldn't pause movies in 1968. So, it's a long movie. They built in an intermission. That's cool. And then I'm thinking, all right, so maybe I should go to the bathroom during the intermission. And then I'm thinking, but wait a second, there's music during the intermission, right? Like, I'm thinking, this is art. This is part of the art experience. This is the experience of enjoying this art, is listening to the music on the intermission. Then I'm thinking, if I were to get up and use the bathroom, I would pause the movie during the intermission, because to me, the intermission itself was art. It was part of the film for me. I was super into the intermission, right? And during the intermission, I was going back and forth. I was looping. Everyone loves to talk about loops when they're on fucking drugs. So I'm looping. Should I go to the bathroom? If I use the bathroom, should I pause the movie? Or should I try to like go the classic experience of using the bathroom during the intermission, but then I don't want to listen. I don't want to miss the intermission. What if something happens? What if I get back and the intermission's over? I don't know how long the intermission is. It's like it pops up and it doesn't say like intermission parentheses here, use the bathroom. It's 2 minutes, right? It just says intermission, right? It just says intermission. Like, how long is the intermission? Like, how long is it? I don't know. Like, what if I have to go take a shit? What if I'm in there for 10 minutes? You ever shit on shrooms, by the way? That's like a nightmare experience. I hate doing it, right? But I don't want to be in there for 48 minutes and I'm missing the rest of the movie. I don't know what's going on. So then I realize I don't need to use the bathroom. I'm just going to watch the movie and then the intermission's over, right? But I'm like having a crisis during this intermission. But anyway, I'm going to talk a little bit more about art, right? So I'm obsessed with the set for this movie. I was looking this up this morning, like a bunch of set behind the scenes stuff. Now, one of the things, right, about like, I like art. I like art in the sense of like, I like paintings, I like music, I like all forms of art, I like all forms of artistic expression, right? So I'm constantly thinking during this movie. So this is a movie, right? It was made in the 60s, in the 1960s, right? In the real world, right? Of what they thought would be like an alternate future kind of thing, and they wrapped the story around it. And so I'm like looking at all like the sets, and I'm thinking like, yeah, that's some definitely like, look at that upholstery. That is something you'd see in the 1960s, right? Like, look at this and that. Look at that font. That is, you know. So I'm constantly like observing this as an artistic piece, because that's what this is. I mean, this is like a 50-year-old movie now. This is art. I mean, like, in the same way you would look at like a fucking Vincent van Gogh painting or something, you look at this, it's art. It's an experience. It's an artistic experience, right? I feel like a lot of movies nowadays are just kind of filler. I feel like a lot of movies nowadays are just something to turn on and then you watch it and it's like 80 minutes and then you go to sleep and you forget that you ever seen the movie. This is art. This is an experimental experience. I mean, again, this is an incredible film. I don't know how long I've been talking about it, but anyway, so let's talk about the ending. So anyway, so some guy floats away, you know, gets killed by Hal, basically. The other guy tries to chase him to save him. Then they realize Hal is setting him up for failure. And then they go to try to dismantle Hal. So in dismantling Hal, they learn about a pre-recorded message, right, of why they were going to Jupiter. Now, again, I had completely forgotten by the time that they had gotten to the point where they're in that section with like the fucking hard drives and the white labels. By the way, I was tripping hard. I was seeing those fucking, when he was in the file room for Hal, like, I was seeing, like, the fucking hard drives, like, coming out of my screen. Like, I was freaking the fuck out. I just spat all over myself. But I was seeing the hard drive because there were, like, these small, thin things, but there was, like, 40 of them, like, on screen, and they were all moving slightly. They were, like, my brain was unable to interpret that. But anyway, so he disables Hal, I guess, and then learns that Hal was given a secret scoop that the humans were not. So again, the humans were left in the dark on why they were going to Jupiter, but they were like, let's tell Hal because, you know, he's a computer, so it's not like, you know, but that's what, then that's kind of what fucked Hal up in the first place. Like, Hal is like, oh, we need to get to fucking Jupiter. Like, this is some crazy shit. We gotta go. Right? So then eventually they realize, oh, we gotta kill the humans because they're, I don't know, like, you know, Hal's going crazy or whatever. But my interpretation of that is that the message, learning about what's going on, is what drove Hal to being crazy or whatever. So anyway, and then the experience starts. Now again, not only am I, 1, a drug user, 2, I'm a frequent drug user, 3, I'm a semi-experienced drug user, and 4, I was watching the movie on drugs, right? So let's talk about the ending sequence. I could not imagine watching this ending sequence being like not experienced with drugs. Like, imagine like someone who's like stone cold sober, never done a drug, never drank alcohol in their life. They're just like, they don't know anything about that world. They go in and watch this movie. They're going to look at that ending and they're going to go, what the fuck? Like, none of it makes any sense. As a drug user, as someone who's very experienced, and well, I don't know about very, right? But, you know, wow. Like, I'm telling you. So again, right, like, we're like this, the ending sequence kind of starts around the 2-hour mark. Now for me, I don't know if this movie was designed around the onset of like a mushroom trip, but for me, like, 2 hours, right, 2 hours is around where the peak is, right? Like, for me, like, the 2 to 3 hour mark is around where the peak, you're gonna have the most intense effects, and that's where the fucking ending starts. So I am like hallucinating, right? Like, the file room is freaking me out. Like, I'm having a hard time like staying in the real world. Like, I'm watching a movie. This is a movie. This is not like a documentary on the real world. I was like, I was wrapped in the experience, right? And then the fucking like the Technicolor shit starts, and I'm like, yo, again, I'm not gonna lie to you. I could not imagine watching this movie as someone who, like, if I watched this movie 5 years ago, 10 years ago, I would have not understood it. I would have been too stupid. If you have seen this movie, if you have seen this movie and you're not a drug user, and if you ever start using like psychedelic drugs or whatever, I would highly recommend you gotta watch this movie while you're tripping. It's an experience. So now, like the part where like they're flying through like the fucking distorted color like landscapes and shit. Oh my god. Oh my god. Like, sometimes when I'm doing, like, fucking drugs and I'm sitting in my bed and I close my eyes, like, that's the kind of shit I see, right? I, like, see, like, the fucking, like, the fractals and, you know, the spinning fucking all the shit going on. That's what I see when I'm on drugs. And that's, like, I mean, again, I don't know about their personal lives. I'm under the impression that the entire ending, or maybe possibly the entire story, is just like some way for them to explain what drugs are like to people that don't do drugs. Now, whether or not that was a good explanation, I don't know. If you're not a drug user and you watch this movie, you're probably not going to really understand much. But anyway, so then we get to The Room. Now, again, I've never seen this movie before. I know a lot of people have debated about this. I spent this morning looking up like people's ending explained videos. I know a lot of people who I've read articles and seen videos, and from what I remember of people telling me, oh, you'll like the ending to 2001 sucks or whatever. To me, the ending is incredible. I mean, it's like the ending is amazing. It's the whole thing. I mean, the whole movie is art. The whole movie is a 10 out of 10. Like, I would like look at like the first frame of the movie and look at the last frame of the movie or any frame of the movie, and I'd hang it on my wall. Like, the whole movie is a perfect experience. I cannot find a single flaw. But I definitely understand why someone would not understand the ending. So there's like a bizarre like floating like drone through landscapes, and then there's like the Technicolor thing, and then there's the eyeballs, and then the main character winds up in a room. Right? The main character's in a room, wanders around this like hotel looking place, but it's like super fancy, but then it's got like some weird out of place like fucking shit, you know, like throughout antiquity or whatever, like some like, you know, nice furniture from random points, and it's an amalgamation of random shit. And so he's wandering around the room, and then he sees another person, and that person is eating like, you know, food or whatever, and then they turn around, and it turns out it's that guy, but older, right? That's right. We're getting into non-linear time, motherfucker. I love non-linear time, you know, and again, when I do drugs, I experience non-linear time. Like, you know, like 30, like, you know, 40 minutes into my trip might happen like after like 90 minutes in my trip, and like I can't tell what part happened first. It's non-linear experience, right? So that's kind of what's being, in my interpretation of the ending, that's what's being expressed here, is that he's you know, experiencing time in a non-linear fashion. So he's experiencing first entering this hotel room, as he's experiencing like aging in this like this you know, generated hallucination. I'm like possible, like I don't think that this is even a physical space. I think it's, you know, not even what is a physical space. When you really think about it, what the fuck even is a physical space, right? It doesn't, you know, but anyway, so this is like, in my opinion, either a mental projection, a hallucination of some kind, some sort of thing, right? So he ages completely, right? And he sees like himself age and die or whatever. And then the monolith shows up and whatever. And then he turns into a fetus, and then the planet or whatever. Now, again, if you are not a drug user, I can understand why you would see this ending. I understand why there's like 10 trillion different articles about 2001 ending explained, right? Because if you are not a drug user, you probably don't know what the fuck's going on, and you might need some help there. And so, but anyway, like the fetus part, like again, all like time is just like, in my opinion, time is just, it's a way to perceive how the world is, right? Like the conscious like brain that we live in perceives time, because our consciousness is better suited for survival if we perceive time in a linear fashion. When you think about memory, this goes into my infamous, potentially living memory theory ranting and raving session. Personally, I think every experience that happens to you, right, all, you know, presents itself as a memory. You can recall certain memories. But what's the difference between a memory, right, something that happened and you remember it, and a story, something you made up, but you have it in your head, but maybe you're convinced that it's real, and something that, you know, like hasn't happened. Like, what's it like? So anyway, so they're expressing nonlinear time in the ending here, and it's great. I was freaking out. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you, I was freaking out. Like, I was like in my bed and I had my blanket. I was like, right? I was like, and the music starts blaring. So anyway, so the monolith or whatever, apparently like some hyperdimensional like ultra-terrestrial being or race or whatever is trying to like bring the humans to them in some way. And so the ending is kind of like a way to express like just like gaining information that is outside of general human consciousness, right? So this is why I say that this is absolutely a drug movie. If you are not a drug user, like you don't understand what any of that means, right? But if you're a drug user, you probably are someone, you know, a psychedelic drug user, I should say specifically. That's my kind of, my brand. But anyway, it's actually 164. But anyway, talking to the chat. Anyway, so, you know, this is like a way to interpret, like, experiencing things that are beyond our realms of any, you know, like, non-linear time. We experience time in a linear fashion because that's just how our brains are wired, right? That's just how our brains are wired. But, like, does that mean that time is expressed in a linear fashion? No, not at all, right? And so that's kind of what's being expressed in the ending here, is that things that happen before, like the concept of before and after, like really, what is like, is there really a difference, right? Like you look at like, you know, like the fucking bending of space-time bullshit, like, you know, and all that, you know, we can get in, you know, I can go into that in another time maybe. But anyway, right, so the ending is like, just like the, whatever hyperdimensional ultra-terrestrial species is just beaming so much information to this human brain that the only way for it to process information is to produce like a similar comfortable, like hallucinatory room, right? To like, you know, live out your life, to experience all of the stuff while it's happening, some sort of safe, you know, safe space essentially, so that the brain is able to process information more appropriately. Now, again, I know that there is a sequel film, not directed by Kubrick, but I would like to watch it. I know that there's sequel novels, and I'm definitely interested in acquiring them. And looking into them, because this is an art piece. I mean, this is a masterpiece. Like, by every definition, every metric that you could possibly use, this is one of the greatest movies ever made. I would recommend it to every single person. Every person who's ever recommended this movie to me, you know, now I know what you're talking about. It's a great movie. I don't know how long I've been talking, probably like 30 minutes. I could probably talk for how longer than this movie's runtime about how good this movie is, but I'll put it down for this. If you have not seen this movie, I recommend watching it. But if you have not seen this movie on drugs and you have access to psychedelic drugs, I would highly recommend doing that. It's part of the experience. Like it is part of the experience. This is not a movie. This is not a film. This is not like a motion picture. This is an experience, right? I need like to kind of like delineate the difference between these words. Like a movie, you sit down, you eat popcorn, it's like, whoa, look at the guys driving the cars, and then bang, 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 the guns go up, and then bloom, right? That's movies, right? Like this is an experience, right? This is an emotional like experience that like it's perfect. I don't know what to tell you. So anyway, one of the best movies, if not the best movie ever made. I don't know if it's possible to make, you know, to say what the best movie is, but this is whatever is the upper echelon of film, the highest tier possible. This movie's in the highest tier. This is incredible. It's just, I'm speechless. I like, imagine watching this in 1968. Like, that's what I was thinking about. Like, watching this in, like, before the moon landing, like, fucking, you don't even know who Buzz Aldrin is. That's a name, like, oh, do you know about Buzz Aldrin? Who? What? Like, it's 1968, bro. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Right? Like, imagine watching this film in like, that in and of itself is a different experience. I wish I would have, I would have the ability to experience that. I wish I could, but I'm unable to. But experiencing this movie in 2022, I mean, you know, it's still pretty incredible. It's still pretty incredible. And I'm excited to read the book. I'm excited to watch the sequel, even though I'm under the impression the sequel is a little bit different. But, you know, I'll give it a shot, of course. Hopefully it's not a Lawnmower Man 2 scenario, right? But anyway, 2001, one of the best movies ever made. And anyone that says this movie is bad, which I have seen, I've seen a couple people say that this movie is bad. When reading a little bit about people's interpretations of the ending this morning. Anyone that says this movie is bad, honestly, I'm going to rethink my position on the death penalty, to be honest with you. Because if you think this movie is bad, I mean, like, let's be honest, you don't belong in society. No, I'm just joking. But of course, this is an excellent film. It's incredible. Can I heap more praise on it? Possibly. Will I? Absolutely. Because this movie is fucking great. I mean, like wow, like what, like the fucking rotating bullshit, like the fucking rooms, the set design, like the Perfect. I mean, it's a masterpiece. I don't know what else to say. It's a masterpiece. I absolutely would love to watch A Clockwork Orange on shrooms, and I'm going to very soon. And The Shining. Gotta watch The Shining. 100%. Let me finish my cider. How's that chair? This is my first show with the chair. It's pretty good. All right, y'all. It's time for a Q-Cock. Q-Cock. You might be wondering, what the fuck? Q-Cock? What the hell? Are you speaking English? This bitch is rambling and fucking crazy. She's fucking talking about Q-Cock. What is Q-Cock, you might ask? Q-Cock. Questions, comments, or concerns. So, do you have any questions, comments, or concerns? Field them my way. I'm going to be ending the show in about 5 minutes. It's Q-Cock time. Goddamn Q-Cock. The Shining has a score by a trans woman. That's fantastic. How am I? Pretty good. I must say, I'm pretty good. How comfortable is my chair? It's pretty comfortable. It's pretty comfortable, I must say. I like it. I got it for like $40, something like that. $50, I don't know. 60, something. There's a different person that bought that. That was like a week ago. I don't even remember a week ago. What even is a week? I don't even know. But it's good. Am I experienced? Have you been experienced? Am I experienced? The answer is possibly. Have you ever been experienced? That is like I am the experience for another person. Have I ever been experienced? Because if that's the case, I would say probably. Maybe a couple times. I've been experienced. Tory fella ousted for pornographic viewing. That sounds pretty cool. I did not see that, though. Maybe I'll talk about that tomorrow. Do you often listen to music while goofed out? Music is its own thing. Watch a movie. Music, you know, those are separate things. So yes, the answer is yeah. Workout streams when? I gotta work out. I've been eating a little shitty. Look at this. Oh. Gained like 10 pounds over the last couple months. A porn moment of madness. Now that you could write a book called A Porn Moment, or The Porn Moment of Madness. The Porn Moment of Madness. When am I going to become a card-carrying member of the Pete Seeger left? Maybe tomorrow. I was thinking about submitting my application. All right, Q-Cock is over. Thank you for watching. I now have a chair, so I'm going to try to edit a bunch of shit. And, you know, I'm like a week behind on editing, so. I clip stuff, but I'm gonna get to it either today, tomorrow, or Monday. We'll see. Anyway, that's the show! Woo! Y'all, I would like to remind everyone that it is, in fact, yeah!
running against the worst candidate in the history of presidential politics puts pressure on me. Could you imagine if I lose my whole life? What am I going to do? I'm going to say, I lost to the worst candidate in the history of politics. I'm not going to feel so good. Maybe I'll have to leave the country. I don't know.
Also, happy birthday, Tyler. I forgot to say that.
I went in yesterday and there was a television screen, and I said, this is genius.
$7 million for reef fish management, $25 million to combat Asian carp, $2.5 million to count the number of amberjack fish in the Gulf of Mexico.
They weren't coming because they couldn't get in. Once they think they can get in, they're coming, and they are coming at levels that you haven't even seen yet.
I admit to always improving.
I eat extra sharp. That's what I eat.
Retweet. That was an opinion of somebody, and that was a retweet.
We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women created by go. You know the thing.